We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Friday, January 9th here in Seoul. I'm Lee Soo-jin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Cheska.
Happy Friday, everyone!
Happy Friday! Also, Moonju's with us.
Good morning.
Good morning, and both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So we finally made it to the end of the week, and with the new year just getting started, a lot of people have been checking up on their fortunes, hoping to get some insight into their luck, careers, and relationships in the year ahead. From horoscopes to tarot cards, it's something many of us do around this time. So what about you, Cheska? Do you usually look at your fortunes?
So in Korea, there's a very popular fortune reading called Saju, right? Which is kind of like looking at your life, and it's sort of based on statistics. But a lot of my friends actually do Saju at the end of the year or beginning of the year, or when their relationship are sort of souring, or they want to make an important decision in job careers. So I would tag along. And as we will discuss in today's episode, Saju in Korea is a great way to connect with your girlfriends.
Right.
So we would talk about it endlessly over coffee and dessert after it. So I think for me, the experience is more the post-Saju rather than the reading itself. Yeah.
I'm actually Christian, but I do have a lot of friends around me that actually still get that chance.
Yes, very much so.
What about you, Moonju?
Oh, I completely agree. It brings endless talk,
Yes.
endless gossip. That being said, I'm a Saju and tarot person, actually.
You are? Okay.
And I regularly visit those places, and actually I visited yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Like last night.
So
like
how often
actually,
do you go?
it's like today because I visited there after 12 a.m.
Wow.
So actually today, I went there for the New Year's Saju because the year has started.
Yes.
So, anyways, I've also tried it with ChatGPT, and it was pretty accurate. So I kind of compared it, and it was pretty accurate. So, according to my results, my personality is very positive, expressive.
Okay.
And this kind of brings me to the suited occupations, or like those revolving around talking or like explaining things. So, and also most importantly, the relationship-wise,
Yes.
Oh, that's the juicy
Saju.
stuff.
It's very positive, very objective. I will be having increasing opportunities of any kind of blind dates or like those kind of things, and also it will come slowly. So I think I should get some peace in my mind and take some time here.
Moonju, are you sure you don't take this seriously?
I don't.
You seem
No,
really
it's not- I'm
dedicated.
just taking it for fun. I'm very dedicated for
It
fun.
seems like you're very into it.
I'm very into it, but still. And lastly, my career-wise, it says I'm gonna peak my ability this year, so that's a pretty good thing. So it was very positive Saju for me. Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks ChatGPT for giving me those kind of cards. Yeah.
So it looks like there's a lot of young people like Moonju who are turning to fortune telling. So we're going to talk more about this, but first, let's take a look at the screen. Once considered outdated or even dismissed as superstition, fortune telling has made a surprising comeback. From Korea's Saju readings to tarot cards and astrology apps, checking one's fortune has become a common pastime among young people. Today on News Generation, we take a closer look at why so many young people are drawn to fortune telling, how this trend has taken hold, its positive sides and potential pitfalls, and how to enjoy fortune readings in a healthy and balanced way. So as we just saw in the video, fortune telling has gone from something people quietly believed in to something many young people like Moonju openly enjoy. For the millennial and Gen Z generation, it's no longer a serious life decision, it's becoming a form of entertainment. So Cheska, has checking fortunes really become a popular pastime among young people? Is there data to back this up?
Yes, I mean, Moonju and I are definitely in that category. And it's actually very big here in Korea. I mean, some take it quite seriously, like Moonju, while many, including myself, I think see it as one form of great entertainment. So if we quickly take a look at the screen, we can actually see quite a striking stat. When asked, have you ever tried any type of fortune reading, whether it be tarot, astrology, Saju? 92%.
Wow.
That's a lot of people. said they have. And the 2% who said, quote, my parents did the reading for me is also very interesting to note, because in Korea, fortune reading is also part of the culture. So a lot of parents in older generation would do a reading for the entire family. They would sometimes even do matchmaking based on these Saju readings. So from the older generation to ours, the way we access the service is also shifting. As Moonju explained, now there are free websites you can use, apps, and even AIs, ChatGPT, and even phone calls Saju that a lot of my friends do, because when they're so busy, they can just ring and then get their data. So previously you had to visit these very good spots or places, kind of get that energy from those people, sit and get a reading. But now with technology, I think app market has been growing year by year from an average of about 20 to 28%. And for most of the MZ generation, they actually would prefer the app and the website for convenience. Yeah.
I mean, the numbers you showed us, over 90% saying they've checked their fortune at least once, really shows how mainstream this really has become. And it's interesting that instead of visiting a fortune teller in person, many are turning to apps as well, because they're so easy to access. So how else, Moonji, are young people accessing fortune telling content these days?
You should be the one to know.
Oh, this is my
us your
expertise, by the way, expertise. And by the way, thanks for calling me young people. You know, I've been into, you know, I don't want to really mention my age or something, but you know,
We'll
thank you. Anyways, you know, these days, you know, with the development of, you know, non-face-to-face platforms, fortune telling is available in various forms, not just through applications. We could do it via YouTube, phone consultations, and messaging services, as Jessica just mentioned. There are even content variations that include, you know, MBTI types, or like even psychological tests into fortune telling. The recent rise of AI usage has led to the popularity of AI-based Saju, which is very accurate, pretty accurate. These ratings are grounded in traditional astrology, providing interpretations based on data, which many find to be very reliable. And when visiting for a fortune reading, there are no monetary, you know, demands for amulets or rituals, making it a preferred choice for MZ generation these days.
So it's really fascinating how fortune telling is evolving alongside technology, spreading across YouTube, messaging apps, and even AI-based services. And you just told me before the show how, you know, you got your fortune read yesterday. It was pretty similar to, you know, using
pretty
ChatGPT,
accurate.
right?
I was surprised.
Right.
Yeah.
So the fact that AI Saju is seen as more data-driven and less pushy in terms of money really seems to resonate with younger viewers. So that brings us to a bigger question. Then why do you think young people are so drawn to Saju and other types of fortune telling in the first place?
I think there are many reasons, but one of them I feel is one major one is being the desire to know the quote unknown. I think young people sort of feel lost at control at a lot of the things that are happening, whether it be relationship, career, or a lot of things. And people want to know when things are moving incredibly fast, they feel out of control. And that uncertainty, I think, creates anxiety. And for many, turning to Saju or fortune telling becomes a way to cope with that fear. It's almost like sort of like you're borrowing a sense of order from something beyond your own reality. And in fact, this anxiety is very real. According to Korea's Health Insurance Review and Assessment Service, the number of patients diagnosed with anxiety disorder has increased to about 75% over the past decade. So when anxiety builds, I think people are more likely to fall into helplessness and frustration. So fortune reading in Korea is one way to sort of assert some level of its very abstract but still tangible control and a direction, and perhaps even, I would say, which is quite important, a distraction from some of the things that are happening right now, whether it be fear and concern. And I think, as Moonju did when he showed us his reading, you kind of get this sense of feeling like, well, things will work out eventually. Yeah.
Right, and that connection to uncertainty really stands out. When jobs, relationships, and even daily life feel unpredictable, it makes sense that people would look for some kind of reassurance. But at the same time, Moonji, are young people actually relying on fortunes to make decisions? Like, how seriously are they taking this?
Even though I pretty much seemed like I am very serious, I'm not really, and most people are not really into that kind of results. You know, only 70% of the MZ generation reported that they merely reference the results, and only 5% indicated they rely heavily on those readings. You know, instead of blindly believing in fortunes, MZ individuals just enjoy viewing them for fun and discussing the outcomes with friends, like gossiping with friends. And much like with the MBTI, they use readings as a means of, you know, trying to getting better understanding of yourselves, and perceiving them as a way to relieve stress and gain some entertainment like factors. So it is more of an entertaining activity than a serious belief system.
Right, I think you made an important point there. So rather than blindly believing in fortunes, many seem to treat them almost like MBTI results.
Yeah.
Something fun to talk about and a way to understand themselves better. So in that sense, fortune telling isn't about predicting the future. It's become part of a shared culture and a new kind of play. So we also ran a poll on the Arirang News YouTube channel asking viewers which topic they would most want to know their fortune for. So here's what the results showed. So the top answer was wealth, with 38% saying financial prospects were their biggest concern. Health came next at 28%, followed by career at 18% and love at 16%. So overall, the results suggest that practical, real-life concerns outweigh romance actually when it comes to fortune telling. So this is quite actually surprising for me that love actually ranks lower than health and money, which does challenge the stereotype that fortune telling is mostly about relationships. So to better understand this trend, we wanted to look beyond Korea. So to learn more, we'll be speaking with someone from Japan, a country where fortune telling is also deeply embedded in everyday culture. And that conversation will take place right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out channel Arirang News. Click Posts. And cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Chihiro, a millennial from Japan, a country that also has a deep cultural connection to fortune telling. Hello, thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Hello, thanks for having me. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
So do people in your country, in Japan, usually check their fortunes at the start of the new year like they do in Korea? And if so, what kind of fortune telling is the most common?
Yeah, in Japan, it's very common to visit a shrine or temple at the beginning of the year and draw something called omikuji. It's a fortune slip. And if you get a bad result, and many people tie it to a tree branch in a temple or shrine to leave the bad luck behind. And I think the common fortune telling ones are apps and website in Japan. But I actually went back to Japan at the end of last year, and these days you can find lots and lots of books in bookstores that tell your fortune for the whole year. And so I think there's so many different ways to get fortune telling in Japan.
As you heard from our episode, there are a lot of young people in Korea who would love to do fortune reading. So we're also curious, is fortune telling sort of seen as something very trendy, hip, or even cool among young people in Japan?
Yeah, I think fortune telling has long been a part of everyday life in Japan. So, for example, omikuji isn't only for New Year. You can actually draw one at any time of the year, and also on morning TV shows. Almost every single commercial channel has a daily fortune segment, and some are based on zodiac signs, and some are even based on blood types. And but most Japanese people don't take it too seriously, including myself, though. And it's more like a fun guide for the day and something to talk about with your friend and colleagues. And that said, I think fortune telling has been getting even more attention recently. And there's a TV program that started about 5 years ago, where celebrities are invited to have their personal fortunes read on air. And some predictions, like when they would get married, have actually come true. So that show is very, very, very popular in Japan and very fun to watch.
Yeah, I see. And I think that's pretty similar here in South Korea also. And so briefly, our last question for you today is, what do you see as the benefits and drawbacks of checking your fortune? And on a personal level, what was it like having your fortune read?
Yeah, I think the good thing about fortune telling is that it can give a positive push or help you reflect on your life. But the downside is that if you take it too seriously, it might affect your mood too much.
Yes.
And personally, I only believe the good fortunes, only good fortune. And if it's something positive, I'll happily take it as a motivation. And if it's not, I just smile and move on.
I agree. I think moderation is definitely key in these kind of stuff. So thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today.
Thank you very much.
So we've just heard from someone in Japan who shared what kinds of fortune telling are most common there, how popular it is among younger generations, and what she sees as both the benefits and the drawbacks. Now let's bring the focus back to Korea and look more closely at how this trend is playing out among young people right here. So when it comes to millennials and Gen Zs in Korea, how would you describe this fortune telling trend, and what do you see as the positive sides of checking your fortune out?
I definitely think there's an emotional aspect to it. So there is emotional relief. We sort of talked about it when things aren't working out very well. It's something to hold on to and say, wow, if I just get through this, it will eventually get better. And it is also a great source of entertainment because it's a distraction from uncertainty. I think a lot of people share their findings, like we talked about, or readings with their friends and others. And through mutual sharing, it also becomes one way to bond with others. So I think it's both kind of a therapy, a counseling session, a very informal one, and also like a communication outlet. Yeah.
So that idea of fortune telling as emotional comfort really stands out. So rather than seeing as a prediction of the future, many young people seem to be using as a counseling channel or even a social activity they can enjoy together. But at what point can this become problematic? So what are the risks or potential downsides that people should be aware of?
Yeah, blindly believing in fortunes can lead to some problems, including Barnum effect, which refers to a tendency of individuals, kind of interpreting vague statements as personally relevant statements. This can create a false sense of accuracy in fortune telling, and it often provides, you often provide personal information while doing these kind of things. And if the data management systems are not transparent or secure, this could kind of lead to issues of privacy. So I think it's crucial to approach such practices with awareness and mindfulness to protect yourself.
I think you gave us a really good, important warning, especially about the personal data risks. It reminds us that even when something feels harmless or fun, there can be real consequences if we are not too careful. So with that in mind, how can people enjoy fortune telling in a more smarter, healthier, and safer way?
Sujin, I thought about this question, and one thing came to my mind, which is I think our words have a power to shape our destiny or our lives. So what I mean by that is if we take certain readings or certain fortune telling way too seriously and start let that dictating our lives might actually happen in the way that we do not desire, even though it wasn't destined to go that way. So in a way, I think it's more about not just taking it blindly, but also maintaining that control in your life, regardless of what the reading is. Because how you interpret things, how you see things, are eventually how your life is going to be shaped. So take the fortune reading for fun, for entertainment, but always make sure that you always have the internal locus of control, and that should be sort of exerted outwardly. Yeah.
I think that also goes along with what Chihiro said during the Zoom interview as well. How like moderation is really important, and also remember, like you said, you're in charge of your life and your choices. So what are your thoughts on this, Saju?
Yeah, completely agree. And I think one of the main reasons why young people these days kind of engage in fortune telling is due to anxiety of their own selves. So I think I've experienced this quite often, not often, but sometimes. And when the results are favorable, it brings a sense of comfort and reassurance that you are doing well, prompting your next visits and stuff. So, but however, as we mentioned earlier, relying too much on these outcomes isn't very healthy. And I think to prevent this kind of over dependence, it might be beneficial to explore lighter topics like love predictions, New Year forecasts and stuff, like I do most of the time. And this way, I think individuals can relieve stress while still enjoying the fun aspects of fortune telling, like giving some self-assurance or like gossiping with friends and talking endlessly in the cafe with some desserts and coffee.
Using that as a motivation to start the chat that you guys kind of wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I think a conversation starter.
Yes.
Shall we go later?
Oh, I'm very much in. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So I think a lot of young people relate to what we've been saying, seeking reassurance when things feel uncertain, but also recognizing that too much reliance can backfire, and treating fortunes as just one reference or even checking them out after the day has passed really shifts the focus back to fun rather than control. So in the end, it seems that the key is balance, enjoying the experience without letting it define your choices. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation, but News Gen will be back on Monday at 10:30 a.m. Korea time with more stories and discussions. A big thanks to Cheska.
Pleasure's always mine. Thank you.
And also Moonju.
Thanks for having me today.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you have the best day. We are News Generation.